Hello, hello. I hope you're getting in the Halloween mood. I am. Look, I even have my new autumn hoodie on today. And I'm going to show you how to use a Valentine set, Be My Valentine, and these generic everyday arch dies to make a 3D pop-up graveyard. I'm going to warn you now, this is not a quick one, and it's a little bit complicated, but I'm going to go with you step by step. And by the time we're done, you're going to be able to make your own faux Z-fold card in whatever theme you like. Okay? Let's get to it. I hope you notice my little sleepy dragon here. He's my little garbage ball. I love him so much. So, to start with, we need to make the base of the card. I have used Misty Moonlight. Now, I ran out of Misty Moonlight. This is a fresh pack. And I made some out of another color. It's a bit less spooky because it's like daytime. I'm going to come back to that with some variants. Okay, so the base is actually the easiest bit here if you're doing just a regular faux Z-fold. Now, I added an extra level of complexity just for fun. So we're going to first cut the sheet in half, which is at, which marking am I looking at here? I want this to be, this is A4 paper. I want this to be at 105 centimeters. Okay, so between the 10 and 11. 105 millimeters. So we've got two halves. This one I'm going to save for another project, or maybe I'll make another graveyard later. Now we want to score it. First, we're going to do half. So I have good luck doing that at 2 millimeters less than 150. So 148 millimeters. And then we're going to have that again. So I did 148. So that would be 74. 74. Now let's see if that worked. Fold it. I have a little bit of overhang there. That's okay. Because actually this is not going to line up anyways. Half and half. Perfect. So this is what we've got so far. Z. Should I say Z fold? Okay. We're going to do the same thing with a strip of old olive, but how wide did I make this? I don't know. How wide did I make this? 3 centimeters wide. This part is not important. You can make it as tall or as short as you want. I just think aesthetically this worked for me. 3 centimeters. I'm measuring on this side. Wide. We went along the lengthwise piece. So we've got two pieces the same size here, but we have to make these score lines. So half this way, half lengthwise this time. So we're back at 148, and what did we say, 74. Half. Nearly. I'm doing something slightly off here, but I think this will work for us. So we've got two identical folds. What we're going to do is flip it. So the long bit is on the short bit, and the short bit is on the long bit. Okay? Now, so that gives us our sky and our grass. And when I open it up, beautimous. Okay, so I want to add another level of dimension in here. So the measurement we're trying to get, I'm not ready to glue anything down yet. The measurement we're trying to get is from here to here. So from here to here is 73 centimeters? Should be 74 by our other math, right? let's go with what the actual ruler says, 73. Okay. So I'm going to add 1 centimeter onto each end. So that gives us 93 now. So let's cut this at 93 centimeters. This is the same 3 centimeter width. I'm going to cut it at 93 centimeters. Okay. Millimeters. Ah! Okay, 93 millimeters. Perfect. And then I'm going to take 1 centimeter off the end and score that. You can make this wider if you want to. We just need enough to grab the tape and hold on to the cardstock. Okay, we're all done with this. So what we're going to do is use our tear and tape adhesive. You could use glue for this. I don't trust myself not to make it sloppy, and because this is going to be a 3D pop-up card, any sloppiness will mean that our card won't pop up properly. So just take some tear and tape adhesive. I'm just going to tear a big whack off here. Tear some little bits and add it onto each of these ends that we have scored. Okay, making sure to stay within the, I almost said seam allowance, I'm sewing a lot, within the score line there. Here, hold that for me. Whoops, see, I went over the score mark there. Okay, we're going to take just 1 set of tape off now. Make sure it's stuck on good and well. Really? There we go. We're going to take the end off of 1 of each, and we're going to stick it over here. Now you want to try to evenly space these out so that this one, this one, this one, and the back are all pretty evenly spaced, okay? There's no exact measurement you need to do here. It's just an aesthetic thing. Just stick her on there. Oh, I did one way and one the other way. That's okay, doesn't matter. Okay, now we are ready to glue the front and the back on. For this front strip, I'm going to use glue because it's not folding onto anything. Okay, just smear a little glue on there. I'm going to put this front bit right there. Beautiful. We lined it up with this edge. We lined it up with this edge. This is what we've got now. Big old floppiness. Now, I'm going to have you fold this under. Make sure these flaps are straight for now. Fold it under. Perfect. The key thing here is not lining up this piece on the edge. The key thing is making sure that it folds nicely. In this case, it did go all the way to the edge. Yay. I'm going to go ahead and use some glue here as well, but I'm not going to go too close to the edge. Okay. Make sure you put the cap back on that bad boy because the glue dries fast. So I'm laying it lightly on there, lining it up to the edge, but I'm not pressing hard. I'm going to fold this down. Once it's folded and everything is lying nicely, then I'm going to press it down into place. Okay, so this is what we have now. We have 2 little flippity floppies here. Now we're going to attach those. So now's the time to peel the tape off. Peel the white backing off of the tape. It's making a fool of me here. I know some people like to use tweezers or the take your pick tool for this, but what can I say? I used what God gave me. Okay. Now these should be lying. Ooh, that's really short. I made a mistake there. Let's see. I think it'll work anyways. Let's go with it. Okay, these should be aligned fairly straight. Kind of get them where you want. Keep an eye on it as you fold it down. Can you see there that they're not attached yet. Okay, fold it. Ooh, now I'm going to press it down. Ta-da! Now we have layers. We're like an onion, or are we like an ogre? What do you think? Okay, that was the easy part. Now it's all about alignment. Okay, now that we have our base, we're going to make our little bits and bobs here. Okay, the next step we're going to do is make our tombstones. So I'm going to use my cut and emboss machine here. This is the mini. Okay, you're going to put platform 1 down, then platform 2. The one with the most scratches is the one that I put on the bottom. I'm just using a piece of scrap paper here. I've got a little notch out of this one, and I want the tombstone to be flat on the bottom, so I'm just going to cut that off. This is a perfect scrap buster project. So I have the second smallest arch from the Everyday Arches die here. The dark gray ones were the smallest arch. And I kind of just eyeballed it here. See, if it's all the way up, I feel like that's too tall for our tombstone, but that I feel like looks about right. So I have just a little bit hanging off the bottom there. Try to make sure I don't shift it as I put this on, and then crank on the wrong side. Wow, this feels really awkward. I usually have the crank on the side next to me. That was very silly. Woo! Okay, so as you see, I made a lot of them already. I just wanted to show you, in case you're not familiar with it, how that works. And now I have a little tombstone. Huzzah! Now, as you can see here, I did not make mine very fancy, but the ladies I was working with really liked theirs much fancier than that. So let's dress it up a little. For the RIP, I'm just going to take a pen that I like, and they put it on all the tombstones. I only put it on, my handwriting is horrible, but I didn't have a set that was appropriate for this. They were either too big or too comical, if you know what I mean. Like, we don't want our gravestone to look like a joke, so we'll put some on the back ones as well, even though I didn't on the original. The idea here is that far away equals small. Anybody seen Father Ted? Those cows are far away. This cow is small. Small, far away. So we've got small ones in the background because they are further away, and they are darker because they're in shadow. I've got my 2 markers here. The colors I'm using for these are Smoky Slate and Basic Gray. Oh, so I grabbed the wrong color. Here we go. Smoky Slate. I love these markers. They're going away in favor of the blending markers that are more designed for coloring. So if you like these markers, now's the time to get them. And the newer markers have different tips on them. They're like thick felt tip pens. So what we're doing here is, this is the old style, making cracks in our gravestone. Or marble veins if you want. I'm going to think of them as, I have an old, this is old-fashioned tombstones, isn't it? So I have an old cemetery, and these tombstones have had a little wear and tear. If you've got more patience than me, you could make little jokes on here. Here lies, I don't know, I can't even think of one. All those joke tombstones that you see in people's yards at Halloween time. Okay, I want to make some more little, they just looked, I think, more authentic this way. Now, this, I don't know what this one became. When we were doing the class together, this was the most time-consuming bit, was people decorating the tombstone. So I'm going to leave it just like that. I've got a piece of scrap paper here. And my blending brush, and I'm just going to make sure that that's not got too much gunk on it. Perfect. I'm going to take my smoky slate and come at it from the edge to give it a little more dimension, a little more spook factor. Maybe we need a little more. See, it's a subtle look. We've got those cracks in there for the more for the less subtle. So there is a difference. Now, what most people do, maybe we should try that here, is they will actually squeeze the stamp pad together to get some ink on the lid. And then you're picking up more ink each time you do it. So let's try that. Yeah, I just want this to be a subtle shading at the edges. You can do it all over if you want. I'm just giving it a little more haunty factor. But also, I'm probably sending all these to kids, so I'm not trying to make them too scary. You can see from the background paper that there's definitely ink going on there. You can also use a darker shade of ink if you want to have it show more. Okay, just a little bit of shading there. Here's a difference again between one that was shaded and one that was not. There we go. I pressed really hard this time. I'd say it's time to re-ink that pad. Okay. Now another thing we can do, I did the lighter one first. Let's do the dark ones. Another thing we can do is add some grass to the bottom. I will do that on the light gray tombstones, but I'm not going to do that on the dark gray tombstones. Another reason for putting the ink in the lid is then you're not worried about cross-contamination with your brush. In this case, it's a very dark one, and my brush doesn't have much on it, so I'm not worried about it. And I went from lighter gray to darker gray. I don't think it's going to make a difference. Ooh, that one really showed. Woohoo! There we go. Those ones are really showing, aren't they? Okay, I'm just going to see. I don't need to wash my brush every time. That more or less cleaned it off. So, we're done with that. One last thing we're going to do to these tombstones. We used Old Olive on the for the grass, Old Olive cardstock. Just going to kind of make some X's and some straight up and down lines to make it look like we've got grass coming up these tombstones. Okay, so that they've sunken into the grass a little bit. We don't want it too tall. I guess the taller it is, the less cared for your graveyard works. I can think of some small flower dies that would look really nice here. I've got one in mind in particular. Is it here? Okay, what do you think about this? Look at these dies from, what is this called? Scenic Adventure. You could even have some black trees in the background. But look, these flowers dies are like the perfect size to have some little flowers growing in front of your gravestone. I'm not going to do that today, but that's just another idea. Scenic Adventure. Okay. Let me get back to my grass. These X's also remind me of the X's you put over eyes in cartoons to show that people are dead. Okay, I'm not going to do that with the gray ones because my theory is they're so far in the background, you're not going to see them. Whew. Let me finish with the decorating, and then we can do all the adhering at once. So the next thing we're going to do is our ghosts. Said I was done with this. I'm not. You barely see that, can't you? It's vellum. So I'm like, oh, perfect for ghosts. gonna cut a strip of vellum off there. Now we don't, Stampin' Up! Doesn't actually sell vellum anymore. So in that case, you could do this with just white paper. But if you have vellum, go for it. I think it makes a really fun effect. Whoop. And now this is the Bee Builder Punch. You can see here, this would be the body of the bee. His little stripes, and then his face goes here, wings. Yeah, so this is the Bee Builder Punch. We're going to use this to make 3 ghosts. And 3 ghosts and a couple of pumpkins. So as you can see, I'm holding the punch upside down. It's easier to punch more accurate when you can see what you're doing. But if I do that, I'm going to lose paper. So, okay, so I can see when it's lined up the way I want it. And can we squeeze one more out of this? What do you think? Not quite. Yeah, I've got extras. I'm sure we can think of something to do with that if we wanted. Okay, so that's all the punching I'm doing with the Bee Builder Punch, and I used only this bit, which also looks like a speech bubble. The speech bubble looking one, that's the bee's body. So these are going to be our pumpkins, but before I do anything, I want to kind of round off the bottom, because pumpkins aren't perfectly round, are they? They're a little flat on the bottom where they've been sitting, and I'm going to make one bigger than the other. Whoop, I do this every time. I make it so lopsided, and then I end up with a really small pumpkin trying to make it even. That's okay though. I want it to stand out from the background and not look like more grass, so I'm using garden green to color the stem in here. Kind of make sure there's a little, it's not a nice round bit, right? These are like the veins coming down from the stem. I'm sure veins is not the correct term. I am not a gardener. So we've got our stem. We made our grass. We're going to make lines to be the ribs of the pumpkin. Is that right? If you do the ribs before you do the trimming, they don't match the shape of the pumpkin properly. You can tell I'm real meticulous with this. Okay, real pumpkins are not perfect. So we've got our wee baby pumpkins here. You can see on that version. I've made a few versions of this so far. In this version, my pumpkins have scary faces from an old stamp set. Now we're going to make the faces of our ghosts. I love the slanty eye ghost. So today I'm going to make them all with that eye. And for the vellum, we are going to be using our Stays-On ink. I find generally when I use the Stays-On, I always have to re-ink it. So I'm going to add just a little ink in the middle here. I'm just using a small spot, so I'm just going to make sure that that spot is nice and juicy. I'm not going to say the M word. Okay, lay my stamp down, grab it with this. Now where the stinger is, that's going to be the bottom of our ghost. We're going to trim that off. So make sure you're putting the face up here. Grumpy pants. All my ghosts are going to be grumpy in this graveyard. Only because I can't be bothered to take out a second one. Ooh, he's got a little funny eye. Now, I want this to be nice and dry, because what I'm going to do next is, let's see, is he dry? Okay, I'm going to line these two up. Can you see the face there through the second piece of vellum? It's light, but you can see it. So I want to make sure they're nice and lined up, and I'm going to stamp the second face directly over the first face. So that when they're lined, the idea is when they're lined up, you can't tell that there's two ghosts there. You can only tell one, because I want a secret hidey ghost. Now, whenever you use StazOn, you have to use your StazOn cleaner. And I would do it straight away. Where's my wet wipes? Use the StazOn cleaner straight away, and then go to the sink and rinse the stamp off. I don't have a sink here, so we're just going to use a baby wipe. This is a wet wipe. It doesn't have any other soaps or anything in it. So here's our StazOn. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm singing to you guys. My singing is so horrible. So I want to get that off as soon as possible. I'm going to then follow up by taking this to the sink, but for right now, we're just going to make it. Now he's nice and clean again. Okay. Very important to use your StazOn cleaner if you're using StazOn. And StazOn is for things, well, one is water-based, one is alcohol-based. Okay. But the StazOn would be for things like vellum, where the normal ink wouldn't stick well. Okay. So now we're going to take our two ghosts with the same face. In this case, I'm going to make sure the face is lined up. That's the most important part. So when they're both lined up together, you should only be seeing one face. Okay. Hold it tight together. And now I'm going to give him a wibbly wobbly ghost bottom. Mine always kind of end up looking like they belong in Pac-Man, but you know what? I always feel like this bit looks like a whale tail when I'm done as well. So now what I have is two ghosts that are identical. Our third ghost, he doesn't matter. He's standing on his own, so he can look however he wants. Okay. Okay, we've got our gravestones. We've got our pumpkins. We've got our ghosts. Now it's time to start assembling. So the very first gravestone we want to put on, and this, we definitely need the tear and tape. Tear and stick, what was that called? Tear and tape adhesive. I'm going to put it on the back, on the very bottom of this gravestone. And this, everything works around the placement of this guy. We're going to put it as far over as we can on the top, on the first, well, let's count it like this, 1, 2, 3. So we want it to far over as the right as we can on level 2. I'm not going to put him too far down because I want that grass to show, but far enough down so that the grass, so that the tape is fully covered. So let's see, the tape is covered, but we might still show some grass. Okay, so right now we have one gravestone. The second gravestone, we're going to use the tear adhesive for everything. So you know what? I'm going to pause here. I'm actually just going to, no, I'm not. We do want to make sure, this one I cut a little bit long. We want to make sure that there is no, actually this will be perfect for our ghost. I'm going to save this. We want, and look, it's hanging off here. So I didn't push that down yet. Let's see if I can salvage it. We don't want to have any of this tape hanging off. We don't want to give it a chance to stick to anything else. If I didn't care about that, I'd just be using glue. This tape is also what I would use if I was building a box to stick the flaps together. Let me tell you, if you had the old stuff, the strong adhesive with the red backing on it, that backing was impossible to get off, and then it was static cling everywhere. Oh, I like this so much better. Okay. Pick a gravestone. Now look, these are not all the same height. So we want to make sure that we're picking a gravestone. Oh my gosh, I got Mama Bear, Baby Bear, and Dada Bear here. Look, got these such random heights. We want to make sure that we're using a gravestone that's tall enough to cover this one. So I'm going to go ahead and take the tallest one. Line it up. I want to hide that gravestone when this is closed. Now, some of my students in my class, we'll call them students, said, does it really matter? Because you're going to be displaying it open on your table anyways. Well, that is a very good point, but I wanted this to be two completely different scenes. Got tape on me there. Because this one's the smallest, we'll put it in the back. Oh, I already have tape on it. Thank you, my dear. And this one is going to be hidden in the back. So what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to hold it here, and then, nope, it's scooted. Okay, I'm going to lay it lightly on there. Still showing a little bit. Oh, come on, you. Just being difficult. There we go, now it's hidden. I'm gonna stick it down. Now actually this one's on the back, so I can add a little bit of glue to that to help it hold in place, but that tape was very helpful for getting it in place. I'm gonna throw a little glue back here towards the center so I don't have to worry about it leaking out. Although look, it's doing that anyways, goodness gracious. Okay, so now here we are. We have 3 gravestones on layer 1 and 2 and the background. When you open it up, it looks like this, but when you close it, they all stack on top of each other. All right. I'm looking at my sample, and that background one was a dark gravestone. Well, it's a big gravestone now. It's easier to hide the skinny gravestone. Gravestone. I really shot myself in the foot here making gray gravestones. It's like a tongue twister. Okay, so well, we're changing things up a little bit. I'll have to make one more of these then. So, that's later's problem. Okay, so the next one we want to place is this one right here. So we're going to take one of these dark gray, let's say tombstone. That's a lot easier to say. A dark gray tombstone. Same thing with the tape. Okay, now the key is here. This is going to go on the layer number 3. And we want it to be just inside of the fold. So I want it as far over as I can get, while still inside the fold. So you can see I'm abusing my paper a little bit here, manhandling it. I'm just holding this lightly in here. Okay. Great. When it's folded, it's hidden. So that's how I place that. You can see it's roughly just left of center, but the placement of this left to right is going to depend on how far back your layer is, okay? So that's why I was kind of holding it there and then smooshed it down once I had it in place. That's the technical term, smooshed. Now the other gravestones can go wherever we want them. When mine's open, let's see, I think I need one right here, and these I can glue. I'm going to put a stream of glue just up the middle so that it doesn't get squished out of the holes here. Looks a little bare right there. And I'm going to put one more over here. Right at the edge. Just filling out our graveyard a little bit. We don't want it to look like a lonely, it's a haunted graveyard, but it's not a lonely graveyard, okay? So here's where we are. We have 3 tombstones on the back layer, 1 tombstone on the second layer, or third layer, 1 tombstone on the second, and 1 tombstone on the front or first layer. Okay. Now the ghosties. That's what I've been holding this for. We want to take our twin ghosts. I'm going to put them behind the grave. Okay, so this one is going behind the gravestone. That's I have a little bit of the adhesive on my finger there, a tiny little spotch. Can you see it? just a little corner there. We're going to put him, use that little corner of adhesive to stick him on the back of this gravestone. So he's popping out from behind the gravestone to come scare you. Now the other two ghosts are going directly onto the blue background. So in this example here, I used the adhesive and you can see that it clearly shows through. There is a special vellum adhesive because we don't carry vellum anymore. We don't carry that anymore. So instead, I kind of leaned into this idea and I am going to use mini glue dots. Behind the eyeballs, this is a very old package. These have lasted me for ages. And I'm going to put those directly behind the eyeballs so that when it shows up, they just look like spooky, hazy eyes. That's what I'm telling myself here. I got it. In this case, I have to kind of grab the edge of the glue dot as I'm pulling it up. Normally, it wouldn't matter if it distorts in shape a little bit, but I want them to still be circular like eyeballs. So, can you see that there? The two glue dots. It almost looks like he's wearing glasses. Okay. So, but I want him to hide again. I love this hiding stuff here, so I'm lining up the face. This is the wrong ghost. This is not the twin ghost. Where's my twin ghost? Just do that again with the glue dots. I bring the vellum to the paper. I'm trying to get the edge of the glue dot on the inside of the eye so that the majority of the glue dot is going towards the outside of the eye. That way when they touch each other, it looks more like, whoa, 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 that's not where I want you. Seriously? And now we've got a big gummy mess. All right, let's take all that off and start over. It happens. Okay, because this is clear, it can be a little bit hard to tell which one is the back side, but the ink is not quite as strong on the back side. Okay, are we going to cooperate this time? Nearly, nearly. Close enough. Okay, hold our little twins together here. Let's make sure their faces match. Do their bottoms match? They should. There we go. Bottoms match, faces are pretty close. I obviously wasn't holding them tight enough when I cut. Holding them together, pressing it down. Ta-da! I know, they're funny eyes. We're calling them spooky eyes, okay? I'm making it an intentional choice. So now we've got this ghost floating over the grave. You can see the gravestone through it, which I think adds to the effect. This one's popping out from behind the grave, but when it's closed, you've got one ghost, in theory. Okay. Woo! Moving right along. In my original one, I had 3 gravestones. And this one I had just slightly overlapping the fold. Can you see there where it comes over the fold? Just a little bit. I just like that extra bit of dimension it added. Also, if you've accidentally placed this gravestone too far over, that can hide it. So I goobered up here and used the wrong gravestone. So we're just going to have one on the front. Yeah, I had tape because it was supposed to go on the background. Might as well use the tape also. Feel free to use dimensionals here if you want, but I think we have enough going on. All right. I'm going to put a big Happy Halloween down the middle here. Right. So I'm going to put my ghostie here so that we don't have so much blue space, because there should have been a gravestone there. Okay, so he's got funny eyes as well. It doesn't matter where you place him. He's not hiding behind anybody. He's his own man. He's a freelance ghost. Now I have a couple of pumpkins. Before I place the pumpkins, I'm going to place my Happy Halloween. I originally had this in the background because I didn't want it to show until the card was opened, almost like a surprise. Like, what's the point of this card? Oh, it's Halloween. Okay, so I folded it, put it on the crease so that when you open it up, it's like that. And you've got this big Happy Halloween background when the scene is open. My students, I get a lot from them. Said, doesn't it make more sense to have it on the front? Yes, yes it does. So let's do that. I used the Stylish Shapes dies. You can see I have magnetic strip holding everything together. This is the die that I used. I'm going to use this die for the words. I pre-cut some strips. Do you think I can? We don't need this anymore, do we? Are we taking bets to see if I can actually line that up properly? This is a very old set that I'm using. So of course, if you have a different set where the Happy Halloween is a different shape, this is how old it is. It's still a wood mount block. Have you even seen what wood mount? Oh, 2006 Stampin' Up. There you go. I think this was probably the first Halloween set that I bought. So we're using our regular Memento ink for this. This is just on paper, and I am of course going to clean this off with my Stampin' Scrub and my Stampin' Mist. Again, very old sets. I just keep refilling that small bottle. Wet side, dry side. Clean stamp, perfect. Clean and conditioned, love it. Get our embossing cut and emboss machine back out here. Now the secret to keeping these things in place here is a little bit of painter's tape or a Post-it note, which I didn't bring up with me. So let's just hope. Okay, get that placed the way I want it. Sorry if my head's in the shot. Perfect. Wow, I'm shocked that worked that well. Yeah. I've got so many samples sitting around here, I wasn't sure if this is the one we had just done or an older one. Ew, gross. I always put my lid back on straight away. One of the things I like about the glue, you have a second to scooch this around to line it up nicely. Okay. Da-ba-da-ba! Happy Halloween. Now the finishing touch is going to be our pumpkins. I think this one needs a pumpkin here. What do you think? Didn't mean to slide it behind the grass like that, but actually I like that. Do I? Let's see, where else can we put a pumpkin? We could put one here in front of this tombstone, and it would hide. I'm gonna put it back here between these two. The bigger one back there. The smaller one's gonna go on the front somewhere. This is all just whatever you want. Oh, come on now. But make sure when we close it that it's hidden. It's hidden, good. So this is like someone's family member came and just decorated the graveyard for Halloween. Do we want it closer? See, since we've got that, I'm gonna put it here. Probably should have thought of that before I put the glue on. This looks so much better with 3 tombstones. Okay, so on this one, we also added a little moon. This one's a crescent moon. This one, I have no moon. I have one with a full moon with a cat somewhere. Where'd that one go? Here we go. I've made a few of these by now. Here we go. Like you can see, I didn't finish this one. And I didn't decorate the tombstones. But we did have jack-o'-lantern faces, and I used a full circle and another old Halloween set with a spooky cat to make a cat. I tried to make it look like it was standing on the tombstone. It wasn't the best effort, but you can see what the idea there, okay? So if you would like to make a crescent moon, I'm gonna get our embossing folders, cut and emboss machine back out. Oh, goodness gracious. I'm gonna use this same Stylish Shapes dies. I think we decided this was the perfect size moon. What have we got there? Well, we're using this one anyways. You're going to have to just play with it yourself and see which one you like. I thought Berry Vanilla was a perfect moon color. Let me see. Obviously, I was using this with the motorcycles. Okay, will that fit through? That fits through. We're just going to cut one circle, not close to the edge because we want to use this space. It does take a little muscle to get these things through. Okay, so here we've got a full moon if you'd like to use that. I want a crescent moon though, so I'm going to overlap it. I feel like that's the perfect amount. Again, I'm just eyeballing this, going with my gut, what feels like it looks good. And there we've got a crescent moon that you can add. And the nice thing about using the Stylish Shapes dies is that it mirrors the holes around the edge, the decorative holes. And so you can just place this back here wherever you want. Again, just making sure that it's covered. You can also put it here so that there's a little bit of interest coming from the other side of the card. What do you think? Do you feel like you can do that? So you can also make a faux fold card with just these two without these small steps in between, but I really like adding to 3D wherever I can. So there you go. Are you going to try this? I'd love to see your samples in the comments. Happy Halloween! Whoops, I almost forgot to mention, don't forget to add a piece of white card to the back to write your message on. But because this card has so much texture going on, you might be better off writing your message than gluing the card on.